What's up, everybody? Hope everyone's enjoying their weekend. Welcome to the Left Fresh podcast. This is the Saturday Night Live hip hop episode. Thank you all for tapping in with me. You can find me on Instagram at This Is Left Fresh. You can find me on TikTok at This Is Left Fresh. Subscribe if you haven't. Share, like, comment, tell a friend to tell a friend. This is where it all goes down at. Thank you all for the support for those who have already subscribed. Without further delay, let's get into it, man. Like I said, hope everyone's having an enjoyable weekend, and what better way to finish off Saturday night with a good episode of the Left Fresh podcast? So gonna get right into it. Got some new releases that came out. Got a hip hop anniversary of a classic album, and I got a couple of new artists to go through from Double XL's hip hop freshman cover for this year. So got that later on. I'm gonna start off with the release that I didn't have a chance to get to last week. We were remembering the tragic loss of producer Tay Keith, and a project got released, Project X by Key Glock. This was released last Friday. I was going through new releases last week and went through a lot of Tay Keith's work and mentioned Key Glock, but didn't mention that he had a new release that came out last Friday. So not intentional, just had to couldn't get it all in 1 hour. But back here, starting it off with this one, and I honestly say that I was actually impressed with the production. Of course, what better way than to start off this album than track number one, a beat made by the late Tay Keith. As soon as you heard his infamous signature before the track started, beat came in strong. Um, Key Glock talked his usual talk, the big time, big money talk, flashy, track the women talk, you know, mannish, no better way to describe track number one. Track number two, more along the same lines, 6 track run, pretty good production on those. You know what I mean? Like I said, Key Glock's the type of artist who's going to say exactly what he says, not exactly going to give it to you technically skilled or anything, but just going to lay you down some humor, some entertaining stuff on some pretty hard beat selection as usual. You look at tracks 11 through 20, the same thing, kind of sick. SRT music was pretty tough. Cherry on Top was pretty tough. Loco Go. Production was pretty good as usual. One thing Key Glock is going to do is have some great production, some great selection. So, like out of 20 tracks, put a good volume on there. Uh, Kind of faded a little bit in the middle so much. It's kind of got repetitive after a while, but I mean, Key Glock does have a formula, and for a good bit of tracks, it works. Like I said, I'm gonna take a couple of these, put them on a playlist or whatever, and just have something to bump in the car, some good trunk music. But yeah, Key Glock dropped a new project for this year. Maybe may or may not be done for this year, but yeah, he just dropped this one. Pretty good, like I said. And remembering Tay Keith, there's a couple beats on there that Tay Keith contributed to on this one as well. For his tragic loss. But yeah, Manish was mainly one of them that stuck out to me. But yeah, Key Glock came with it last week, 20 tracks. Um, I was a pretty, I mean, it's pretty consistent with Key Glock. If you're not a Key Glock fan, then I mean, you're not going to do any. This track's not going. This album's not going to do anything for you. If you're a Key Glock fan, this is pretty on brand for what Key Glock gives. So I'm pretty sure if you are a Key Glock fan, you're gonna find it enjoyable. Like I said, there's a couple tracks on there I'm gonna probably put on a playlist just for the beats. I mean, and then Key Glock talk too, so I'm okay with that. Like I said, I take my tracks and take what I need from it and go with it. But yeah, Key Glock, like I said, consistently on brand with Key Glock's project and Key Glock's work. Um, like I said, yeah, I mean, I liked it. I mean, it was like I said, for what I like out of Key Glock, and I like a different diversity of artists and everything like that. And Key Glock kind of just gives you that production, that like I said, that slick talk, riding the beats, and he had some good appearances on there as well. Good production, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I had to catch up real quick and get that one. That was a new release from last week, so you all check that out if you're Key Glock fans out there, Dolph fans, anything like that. Protege from PRE, still keeping it going for PRE. So check that out if you're into it. But got a new release that came out yesterday. Highly anticipated. Had some had some big hits that went viral and everything like that. About 2 or 3 hits along with a beef with 50 Cent at the start of the year. And yesterday was June 26th. It came upon us, and it was the full album. It was T.I.'s Kill the King. Um, like I said, most I heard a good bit of the singles and build up to the album. So when it finally appeared, it was about two or three songs I was already pretty much familiar with. You see the cover right there, the cleverly drawn image, and then presented by Ti at the bottom and everything like that. Real dramatic effect. So that was pretty cool there. But like I said, let them know. Track number three. Heard that all year long. Um, where I'm from with Anderson Pack. I wasn't really that fond of the production, pretty much. I think Anderson Pack was pretty good on there as well. But yeah, the production on where I'm from didn't really hit me. It didn't really do it for me. But the track was pretty okay. Overall, I think the album was pretty here and there. Had some highs, had some lows, had some drag outs, had some stuff that felt like it was, an album with a lot of anticipation. It felt like some songs on there probably was just kind of uh kind of meh. But at the same time, it was some pretty good ones too, though. I'm not number five, Rent. That was pretty good production. Ti went crazy with the flow and everything like that too. So I mean, I like Rant for a little bit. I heard Mr. Him. It was pretty cool, little record, whatever like that. Um, it was kind of like the grown man Ti, and not so much. It's kind of the irony. I think a lot of people kind of was expecting TIP. I think Rant gave you that little hint of TIP, and a lot of the other songs were just Ti. You know what I mean? Like it was like when you get to Pistol on the Dance Floor, that was a cool little, dance song, little song for the ladies right there as well. And Won't, that was definitely for the ladies with Summer Walker. Dope Boys Academy was probably another favorite, along with number five for me. Rant was pretty cool. Dope Boys Academy was pretty cool with T.I., T-Pain, Jeezy, and Two Chains. Jeezy had a real good verse on there. I was impressed with with Jeezy's verse. But like I said, Let Them Know, I pretty much already heard about. Um, Harris thought was a quick intro. That was dope having the family involved. See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying was pretty good. It was okay. Um, you see on this one, he had Ti and he had Usher on there appearing on "Gorgeous." That was another song for the ladies. "We On" was pretty all right too. Um, "Long Live OG Clay" with Ti and YoungBoy. I was surprised with YoungBoy's appearance because I thought YoungBoy was going to be doing a lot of harmonizing. He just did like a couple of notes here and there, and he just actually rapped. So I was like, yeah, YoungBoy jumped on the track and actually, started rapping. Then he had the OMG girls. He had his family. He had a lot of family appearances on there. He had Buddy Red on Big Dog. Continental was okay. Trauma Bond I heard all over the place as well. Um, Overall, I mean, I give this Ti album like one of the later projects. I'm not going to mistake this one for any of his top five albums. That's pretty much my objective opinion. Like I said, I thought it was some cool tracks on there, maybe a track or two. It was like a couple tracks on there. It was pretty good, but um, honest opinion is not really something that I would kind of like hold in comparison to his best albums. And he's at a point in his career at this point, like I said, the idea is kill the king. Well, I mean, kind of like almost feels like a ride off into the sunset. Like I said, We On was probably one that kind of caught on a little bit. Um, Continental was pretty good. Like I said, Trauma Bond wasn't the worst. I mean, like Trauma Bond, I heard everywhere, so kind of just wore on me as it went already. And it was like Let Them Know, of course, was pretty good. Let Them Know was pretty good, even though I heard it a million times. It was just oversaturated by the time I heard it. But Dope Boys Academy and Rant, probably my two best tracks on there. But overall, in that, like I said, this is kind of like one of his later projects, more so than his best projects. And Ti got an extensive amount of projects. He's had some good songs, some good singles throughout the years. Just hasn't been those type of projects that mirror his greatest work. That's just Ti setting a high standard. As far as the albums he released from. I mean, like I said, I'm not going to call King the King and Kill the King in the same category as trap music or King album. You know what I mean? It's just not going to be in that realm. But I mean, for OG in the game, still making music, still going. Like I said, he still gave us, tad bit. He gave us a good bit of middle of the pack heat type of stuff. Gave us some heat in there, but a lot of songs, he's gonna hit some songs, gonna get some play on there. I can see him and Usher's song, Gorgeous. I can see a lot of ladies catching on to that. And one with T.I. and Summer Walker. Number 9 Pistol on the Dance Floor. I can see ladies catching on to that track too. But yeah, T.I. had a pretty solid release, but like I said, it's not on the same level I would hold his best work to. Um, not the best project I heard this year either, but at the same time, it's T.I. He's gonna give you at least something. And it was pretty cool. But it had his high points, like I said, it had his highs and had his lows. But overall, it was an anticipated album too, so I guess there was a lot of expectation for it as well. But like I said, there's a couple tracks I like, a couple tracks I probably won't revisit. It's pretty middle of the pack, but yeah, it was something to listen to on a Friday afternoon, and that's pretty much it. I mean, you can probably check them out for yourself, see if you like it or dislike it. You comment, see if you agree or disagree. But yeah, that's pretty much it for releases, except for one more I'm gonna stop with. And before I do that, encourage you all if you just jumped on to subscribe, like, comment, share, tell a friend, tell a friend. Like I say, you can find me on 10 o'clock this time tonight on Saturdays doing a hip hop episode, Saturday Night Live. You can find me on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. doing the sports episodes as well. I'm discussing NBA, NFL news, um, all type of different conversations, a lot of different creative content in the off season as well. But yeah, one more release that came out Friday was not so much a full album, but an EP. Um, Griselda's Benny the Butcher, or you know, part of part of the Griselda. If you know him from Griselda days, he's been doing a lot of solo projects and appearances as well. This is a new project he released, kind of like a 2.5 of a previous project. If you all remember the edition of Plugs I Met, he had a part one, a part two. This is 2.5 right here. This came out yesterday. It's produced mostly by Harry Fraud. Um, it's only 7 tracks on this, only 6 tracks on this project. And really just an intro by Bruiser Wolf with a beat in the background on number 1. So really just a 5-track EP. Um, I like Once Upon a Time with Derringer on there. Rise and Fall number 2 was pretty good, and 6 was pretty good. So that 2, 4, 6. 3 was okay. Talk shows, I liked it as well with Raekwon too. So yeah, this was actually pretty good. Typically a lot of oversaturation can be the case with Harry Fraud. He can give you that really, really good beat, and then he can it kind of wears itself out pretty thin if he does a whole project. So that was kind of my fear. But it seems like 6 tracks was enough, including Derringer producing one to take him one off of him. So Harry Fraud was able to deliver just enough, to where I didn't feel like, all right, this wasn't that. He starts coming to some beats where it's like, I'm not really going to come back to that beat. But yeah, this one here, like I said, talk shows with Raekwon. Raekwon had a great verse, of course, legendary. Benny, of course, brought it with the lyrics and the bars. So, yeah, this was a nice little holdover of songs until the next Benny the Butcher project comes out. Um, me, I'm always anticipating a Benny project because he's been pretty consistent, especially if the production's on point. Works with the right producers and like Derringer and different producers like that, something along those lines, like the typical conductor, you know, producers that Griselda's used to, giving it that Griselda sound, and also a good mixture of other different versatile sounds as well. So Benny's usually pretty balanced with his releases and everything like that. This one is just a quick EP. Um, Hopefully getting us warmed up for an album and everything like that. So we can use a good release from him throughout the year. If you're a Benny the Butcher fan, go ahead and check it out. If you want to get hip to Benny, this is a good time to go through this, and along with the rest of his extensive discography over the last 10 years, at least 10 years plus. So yeah, solid releases that came out over the past 2 weeks. Actually started picking up towards the end of starts picking up towards the part of the year, summertime. Everybody's usually dropping projects. And also, this is also the time we revisit the 30-year mark, the legendary year of 1996. Like I said, there's going to be a couple of albums as the year comes along. There's going to be a bunch of classics being released in that year. That was one of the best years possibly in hip hop, at least in the 90s. And one of which is a project that was released 30 years ago. think back on Wednesday. I'm not too sure, but yeah, it was Jay Z's "Reasonable Doubt," released in 1996. One of the greatest albums of all time. Definitely, in my opinion, Jay Z's greatest album. And that says a lot, being that he's dropped so much. It was released on June 25th, which was Thursday. It was a 30-year anniversary. Um, Many debate this as one of the greatest albums ever, and you got to have it as one of, and definitely one of Jay Z's greatest albums, if not the greatest album in his discography. There's many that would debate, hey, you can probably go with Blueprint One, you can go with, the Black Album, you can go with, yeah, exactly. You run out of ideas real fast. Reasonable Doubt is pretty much his greatest work, and to remind people that this album was pretty much overlooked at one point. When it was released, it didn't come with high anticipation. It was a debut album that kind of hit everybody out of nowhere. You know what I mean? At first, and it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't highly anticipated. Then wasn't selling platinum out right out the gate. It was revisited and re-listened to, and that's when it was revered. Jay Z came out with an era of, you had Tupac's, you had Biggie's. Then you were on the West Coast, you had Snoop and Dr. Dre's and Ice Cubes and so many other established artists at that time coming out as a new artist is hard to break through. Luckily for Jay Z, he had the right amount of appearances on here for people to start taking notice as well. I mean, if you look at it, track number one started off "Can't Knock the Hustle" with Mary J. Blige, which is like one of his classic singles in his discography. "Politics as Usual," great sample on there, classic sample, one of the smoothest sounding tracks ever. "Brooklyn's Finest," of course, another classic collabo with the late great Biggie Smalls, Notorious B.I.G., Christopher Wallace, whichever you call him as. This is one of their greatest collabos. You got Jay Z, you got this one, and you got also have you got Young G's on No Way Out album. You got on Biggie's Love the Dough with Jay Z featured on that one. So yeah, this is one of many. This is one of a few tracks where Biggie and Jay Z collabed on and made magic. Dead Presidents 2 with the Nas sample on there. That was another dope one. Jay Z laying bars everywhere. Feeling It. That was another one with the dope hook and everything. Mecca singing it. The Evils with the Snoop sample. There was some great sampling and production on this album. I mean, that's I guess when people started revisiting. I know people back in like 97, 98 started listening, going back to 96 and listening to this, like, oh man, this is hard. And now it's like everybody's calling it a classic. Like this is what I mean by not every classic goes diamond or sells 8 million records or anything like that. Some of these albums are just, didn't everybody didn't catch on to at first. 22 Twos, another one, Jay Z laced that verse. Can I Live? The classic on sample. Foxy Brown with Disappearance on Ain't No Ninja. Friend of Foe, another one, like the Friend of Foe Part 2 on Volume 1, Lifetime. So yeah, these like track list is pretty much a run through. Coming of Age with Memphis Bleak, just the introduction to Bleak. He came with it as a young boy on his verse, Cashmere Thoughts. Bring It On with Big Jazz and Sauce Money was pretty dope too. Sauce Money, another classic, another lyrical beast. And then Regrets, of course. Now, Reasonable Doubt was actually 14 tracks long. Can I Live Part 2 was kind of like a bonus or unreleased track that was thrown on this one as time went on. But at first, Regrets was usually the last track on there. But yeah, Reasonable Doubt, you can go straight through this one, all the way through. Like a no skip kind of album. And if you really, really, if I really had to be picky, I would probably say Regrets. Cashmere Thoughts and Regrets will probably be the least revisited songs on this one for me. That's just my least revisited out of it. I pretty much can listen to it straight through, but those 12 and 14 would probably be the ones I would have to skip if I had to skip any. If I was just on a run. The ones I'll probably throw on a playlist with the quickness is Can't Knock the Hustle, of course, Politics as Usual, 3, 4, yeah. 6, definitely. 22 Twos, 8, yeah. So I would say my favorite personal tracks on Reasonable Doubt would be 1 through 3, 1 through 4. Well, 1 through 5, yeah, 1 through 5, 6. Oh yeah, 8. Yeah, 1 through 6 and 8. I mean, I can roll with that. Like I can play that timelessly. I play a lot of newer music as well these days. There's so much new music out. I mean, I still revisit nostalgic music and everything, and when I do definitely come across this one. Like I said, first 6 tracks and track number 8 on Reasonable Doubt, I can that's like if I had to pick a nostalgic day to listen to nostalgic hip hop, those first 6 tracks and track number 8, and 22 Twos too, I can go back to that as well. But yeah, this would be a go-to album, period. And I'm glad to see it's getting its flowers. Um, Almost to the point where it kind of gets glazed a little bit. You know what I mean? Like some people say it's the greatest ever, and I'm like, I don't want to say that. It's up there, it's high up there. I wouldn't say the greatest, but I mean it's way up there. I got a much in a high regard to me. But yeah, it's nowadays it's like, yeah, this is highly cherished. And I mean, it's good to see hip hop fans backpedal and revisit music that, they didn't know that was that good. And it's like, oh yeah, this is really hitting after all. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, you should cycle through the libraries and discographies of all great artists. And let me know if y'all disagree. Let me know if you think another Jay-Z album is actually better than Reasonable Doubt. There's other great albums. There's Black Album. There's um, like I said, there's Blueprint One. There's other albums that are not probably on that same level, but other solid ones. I thought Blueprint Two was also a great Jay-Z album. Just not in that same regard as the other three. Like I would say my top three J albums would be Reasonable Doubt, um, Black Album, and Blueprint, not necessarily in that order. Those would be my top three. I like Volume Two as well. And then I also I liked American Gangster as well. That was pretty tough. But yeah, those would be my top three J albums. Reasonable Doubt, Black Album, and Blueprint One. But yeah, like I said, happy 30th birthday to Reasonable Doubt. Like I said, we'll be going through the year. There'll be more classics coming along. It's going to have, it's going to be a lot more classics. 1996, definitely some classics. And you're going to probably have some other ones that turn 20 years old, 15 years old, 5 years old, maybe. Some good ones in recent years that came out. I like to revisit as well. You know, it's been some good. It's been a good run for Hov. Definitely been a good run for Hov. All time great, right? To say the least. But yeah, like I said, if you're just jumping on, I want to encourage you to subscribe if you haven't. Thank you if you have. Like, comment, share. Let me know your thoughts. If you agree and disagree with anything I've said so far on this live. Like I said, just revisiting where we're at. Went through Key Glock's release from 2 weeks ago. Had Benny the Butcher's Plugs I Met Part 2.5 come out. T.I.'s Kill the King came out yesterday. Let me know how you feel about that. If you liked it, you thought it was mid or you thought it was whack. Let me know how you feel about T.I.'s album that came out. Jay-Z's album just turned 30, Reasonable Doubt. Um, Last topic of the night, though. This one here is going to take a little while to go through these. So make sure I carved out a nice segment for them. And if you're OG, you probably are going to be like, who, who. And hopefully, if you're a young person or somebody who actually listens to younger person music, you probably already hip to these. I'm already hip to a handful of them. Most of them actually. I had to listen through these once I saw the cover, just so I could have everything ready for you all. This is the XXL Freshman class cover for 2026. It's a pretty deep cover. It's got 12 different artists on there. It's pretty much the same number that it always has. One thing I've noticed about the XXL covers, and that's a topic for next week too. Come back where I will be talking about some of the greatest XXL covers in the past 16 years. Well, 17 years. About 17 years, yeah, because I'm gonna go back. Probably want to go back to like 2009, all the way up to now, and look at every freshman cover and see how each artist kind of progressed along. Because every time we see a freshman cover, a lot of us unks and aunties start to get to wondering, who are these kids? Like, get on to get tapped in. I only know a couple of these. Yeah, I mean, if you know a couple of these, hats off to you. You know what I mean? Especially if you're 35 and up. Um, and then some of these artists are actually a little bit up there themselves. They're not exactly the youngest artists either. Some of these artists have work that's been around for a while. I don't have enough time to go through each artist's full discography, but I can go through their most recent work, and you can do the research on your own and check them out on your own. I found some of the stuff was a little bit more of a pleasant surprise than many skepticism that we normally see when it comes to these covers. We see a lot of these artists and we're like, we don't know them and we automatically kind of write them off. Or we probably hear the worst examples of them. Um, I remember the infamous cipher of when 2016 or 17 with 21 Savage, Kodak Black, Lil Uzi Vert, um, like I said, 21, Denzel Curry. It was a bunch of artists from there. And I remember like being around 30, 31. It's like 10 years ago. And everybody gave him so much nonsense. And they actually went on to have long careers. Lil Yachty and all of them, whether you like them or not, they're still a lot of them are still here. 10 years later, Lil Yachty is still here. And he was on that infamous cover where everybody dragged it. These guys can't rap, these guys this, that. And a lot of those guys ended up making some pretty good songs, added some good discography to them. So I'm not the type to usually write them off. And I took the time to actually go through and listen to a lot of these artists' work and actually found some that I like. Maybe not some that I would particularly listen to in large doses, but some I would actually listen to a couple singles and actually was pleasantly surprised. Like, yeah, production's pretty good. Oh, I didn't know this guy can rap. Oh, this guy got some bars. Oh, this guy can actually, got a little flow to him, a little delivery. Or this artist right here, he does the melodic rap, but the sound is pretty good. Future is like, you never look for Future to be the lyrical wordsmith. You just look for Future to ride a beat and, have a good tone and everything else that rides a good beat. You know what I mean? Listening for the sound. And some of these artists are like almost descendants of these different lanes of hip hop, different types of hip hop. I mean, you got a whole bunch of diversity in this one right here. But without further ado, I'm gonna go through some of these names, some of these young artists, and I'm gonna actually show that I actually came across some stuff that I liked, or some stuff that maybe I can see fan base of theirs liking as well. Something towards their fan base because I got an ear for a little bit of everything now. I got used to the diversity. But I'm gonna start off almost in alphabetical order, and I'm gonna start with Babyface E. Babyface E from Flint, Michigan. If you follow Detroit, Michigan rap, not just Detroit, but Michigan, there's a couple of baby faces, babyface Ray out there. He was a freshman not too long ago, a couple years ago. Babyface E, actually did some work, did a collabo with him as well. But this is his newest project that came out this year, The Realest, and tracks 1 through 10. He had track number 4 had me laughing a little bit. I Love Ratchet, with Babyface Ray on there. Like I said, this Babyface thing, Michigan rappers, they love the name Babyface, I guess. He kind of raps like T Grizzly a little bit, got that Detroit lingo. Talk Expensive had a little beat, had a nice little beat to it. Little up tempo track to it, up tempo beat, no dragging along and anything like that. Detroit rappers kind of got their little got the awkward deliveries. It sounds like it's off beat, but it lands right back on the beat. You know what I mean? The delivery is just kind of like unique. It's that Michigan delivery. And track number 10, Uptown, Downtown. You see what bag I'm in, Blackout. Track number 13. Yeah, this is his newest track that came. This is his newest project that just came out this year. Like I said, Babyface E on the freshman cover. Yeah, like I said, he got that Detroit. He definitely got that Michigan pedigree. Like I said, if you like Michigan rappers or that Midwest, a lot of that newer age, like I said, if you like Babyface Ray, you'll like Babyface E. Um, he's right along the track, got that same type of delivery. But yeah, he was pretty cool. I'm not gonna say they sound alike, but what I'm saying, you got that, you can tell the style or the influence is pretty prevalent in that region, which is pretty cool though. It's still pretty unique in its own. Like I said, if you're a Michigan fan, if you're a fan of Michigan rap, Detroit rap, I like a few Michigan rappers. I like Bodie James and Mickey Diamond on the underground. So it was easy transition for me to listen to a younger artist and try him out too. So, like I said, that was his comp for me. Kind of do these guys like NBA players. Let me do the scouting. My comp for Babyface E would be Babyface Ray. If you don't know Babyface Ray, you can probably take a listen to both. But yeah, that's Babyface Ray for the going in alphabetical order. This one right here, this one's getting hot in Atlanta right now. Everybody listening to this dude all over Atlanta right now. Belly Gang Cushington. Um, a lot of Jeezy comparisons to him. I don't really, I mean, I can hear the Jeezy comparisons because of the content, not so much the style or the delivery, anything. He still has his own unique style and delivery. But I see why everybody gets that nostalgic feel, like he kind of reminds them, puts him in a mold of Jeezy. But yeah, Belly Gang Cushington, uh, yeah, he talked that stuff, man. He talked that street stuff, talked that dope boy stuff. You know what I mean? So, if you into that type of style, if you into that Jeezy Trap or Die era type of thing like that, he's kind of that Gucci era, that Pee Wee Longway era, and everything like that. I heard his appearance on Bally Baby's album too, so he was pretty good on that one. That beat was knocking. So I mean, yeah, you're a Belly Gang Cushington fan. Yeah, he's on the double XL cover. He's definitely making waves in Atlanta. He was definitely, yeah, yeah, Belly Gang. Yeah, yeah, he's pretty straight though. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I like the couple tracks is. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this project right here came out last year. Like new, a lot of his newer tracks I've heard him on this year. It was mostly appearances. I haven't heard any new projects just yet. I don't think anything new came out. From last year, 75 on 75 was pretty dope. The intro was pretty clean. Callback Kush. He had a couple of remakes, like kind of like a mixtape type of feel to this one. But yeah, he had a couple tracks on there. I was like, yeah, I was nodding to it, man. Yeah, I was nodding. Um, yeah, this one right here, it was like 14 tracks long. Friend Dude. Oh yeah, Friend Dude was all over the internet. Yeah, bounce that like your friend Dude. Yeah, yeah, that one. Yeah, so he's got some stuff out in the street right now. So I mean, I can get with it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like Atlanta kind of going in a in a forward direction. He's still moving, still keeping Atlanta moving forward and everything like that. I can get with him, man. Yeah, he's cool, man. You know what I'm saying? Freddie, yeah, Belly Gang Cushington. Shout out to him on making the double XL cover for this year. Next artist up, making my way down to the seasons, 12 artists. So yeah, y'all bear with me. I got Chris Patrick right here. Oh yeah, Belly Gang Cushington. Yeah, he's okay. Yeah, he got some good stuff. Pray for her. This album came out this year for him, Chris Patrick. Chris Patrick kind of reminds me of a JID. He's from New Jersey. He's got a very introspective type of rap. Definitely got a little lyricism and kind of do melodic rap. He's kind of back and forth. He can kind of do both. He can kind of do the melodic rap. He can kind of give you a little bit of lyricism as well. This track right here, Pray for Her, was pretty good. It's the deluxe. He's had some pretty good appearances on here as well. Frankenstein with Marco Plus. Conductor Williams did this production. This one is fire. He actually gave you some bars on this one. Do Re Mi was a little more of a singing melodic rap type of track. Patience as well. He does a little bit of that melodic rap. We kind of like sings the rap a little bit. Patience, like I said, Huncho's Prayer, kind of like that as well. But like I said, yeah, he surprised me with some bars though. He's from Jersey, from New Jersey. I think Patterson, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, he's a pretty good artist. Um, he has some pretty good stuff on this project. Probably revisit some more of his work to get more caught up on him. But yeah, yeah, I'm getting caught up on some of these artists. You guys probably check some out too. Production was pretty good on there too. Got some nice smooth production. A lot of these newer artists, one thing you can one thing I can count on is like some of the production is actually really good. Some of the styles might throw you off, so you might want to hear some of them in small doses, but probably give them a chance on a couple of these tracks, and you're gonna probably find that you're gonna probably find something you might throw on a playlist or something. So you might sneak some in here that you like. This double XL cover surprises me because I'm usually not sold on a lot of these artists on the first look, and usually I listen to them and find a couple tracks that I like. But this one here, I actually listened to a few, and it's like, yeah, this is actually a pretty decent year, depending on what lane you like. Hurricane Wisdom, another one may or may not be your lane or not, but if you like the melodic rap, if you like the NBA young boy type of artists, Lil Baby and Rallo Rodriguez type of artists, Hurricane Wisdom from Tallahassee, Florida. He's pretty much on point with the Kodak Blacks and the Triple X Extensions type of artists. Giannis remix was pretty good on that production though. Him and Polo G on there. I mean, they did the melodic thing, but that production on Giannis remix track number 3 is pretty good. That came out this year as well. The Man was pretty okay as well. Production was pretty good on that one too. So yeah, you got to check these young guys out, man. They might got something. I mean, some of these guys are a little bit older as well, like in their late 20s, more so than their early 20s. You got it. Um, Frontline with No Cap. That's for the younger. That's definitely for the younger dude, for the younger crowd and everything. But Hurricane Wisdom, yeah, from Tallahassee, Florida. Like I said, just dropped a newer project this year as well. Like I said, everybody on the cover pretty much dropped something recent within the last year or so. Some got projects going back to 2022. So Yeah, a lot of these artists have really been going at it for a while, and then some of them are just fresh into the game and already getting noticed. So the it's almost like the NBA draft almost. You know what I mean? Yeah, but like my comp for Hurricane Wisdom would be like a NBA young boy or Lil Baby or Rallo Rodriguez type. You know, a lot of harmonic kind of rap. Um, this artist right here, he was very unique, kind of caught me off guard. I didn't know that he would have this type of style, but it's unique though. You know what I mean? Like he's definitely unorthodox with his raps, but LA Reezy or Lareezy from Louisiana. This project's coming out in July. He has some sneak peeks, he has some sneak peek on some singles, and this one, Family Business, has some crazy production. He got an unorthodox flow. He got a like unique flow. It's probably gonna be an acquired taste for some, but his beats are pretty good though. Like the production on there, you're gonna be like, man, it's got some type type production on there. He got another project came out like in 2024, maybe last year. But yeah, I was a little surprised with some of his production though. I mean, y'all check him out, see if y'all like him or not. But I mean, I think that he got a unique flow. I think he got some potential that I think he got a couple potential tracks that you might throw on a playlist. I call these new artists skippers. Very rare that you could let the project just ride. Have to find a song that you may like. Yes, yeah, we're in the playlist era, man. Last week, me and my boy Bing jumped on, and we were just discussing that last week, man. Like um, a lot of artists have dropped so many different projects, and some of them are very long, some of them are very short. And you really just got to take your singles and make a playlist. We're in the playlist era, you know what I mean? Not so much in the album or project era. You know, they just give you a bunch of singles and just throw it on there and say, "Hey, take what you like out of there." And if you get if they get enough streams and singles, off, if they get enough streams off of one single, they can do well with it. So I mean, they're just hoping for that. If you find enough singles that you like, yeah, complete projects is pretty rare and hard to find these days. But you will find something like in small doses, or you'll find something that you like, um, and you might pull from that, add it to your library, throw it on your playlist. Because I mean, that's kind of where we're at with streaming services and everything like that. I mean, back in the day, we get that CD and we dissect the whole project. You know what I mean? We get that one CD, probably had that CD for about a couple of months, maybe another year before the next artist drop, for that artist drops another project. So I mean, yeah, we're in a different time, man. It's the streaming era, but you get a lot of artists right now. So many artists out here that you're probably just gonna need to take your singles from them anyway. It's such a variety that you can't help but find something you like and get enough songs scattered together or gathered together and throw them on a playlist. You got something you can ride to. And me, I like variety. Usually, I used to be a day I can listen to an album all the way through, but I like being able to switch from artist to artist, song to song, style to style. Or if I'm just on a certain wave, I want to just hear some great production where, if you're just flowing on the beat, cool. If I want to hear some super lyrical stuff, I hear this many artists for that. So it's like I like the variety. This next artist right here is on the double X cover is actually a Christian rapper, Miles Minnick from the West Coast. I was amazed by the production and the beat selection. Christian rap has definitely evolved over the years. This track right, this album right here was only 9 tracks long, but it has some production on there. He's had previous work where he's had collabos with E40 and different other West Coast artists and everything. Lift You Up, very uplifting song, of course. I had to check him out, everything like that. So if you're into the Christian rap, you can check out Miles Minnick. This project right here was Summersville. Like I said, he's on the double XL cover, so he's obviously making a big buzz and has a good following out there. And it's good that good uplifting rap is balancing out drill rap and all the other gangster rap and stuff too. So I mean, why not have a lane for Christian rap? You know what I mean? I'm definitely definitely something I'm open minded to. So salute to Miles Minnick making the cover in a positive way, and kind of a weird transition to go to this route right after that to follow. But I mean, it's we got different lanes of hip hop all over the place, and this artist right here from the Philadelphia area, um, doing his thing kind of with drill rap, Skrilla. He's kind of got that MF Doom look with the mask and everything like that. But yeah, he's a Philadelphia drill rapper. This dropped this project Z early this year in 2026. It's got a couple appearances on here as well. Track number 4, it has that drill type of beat and everything. Like if you're a drill rap fan, you pretty much like that drill sound. It's kind of transcended everywhere, at least from the Midwest and East Coast. But yeah, Skrilla is definitely a unique flow. He raps, completely different than anybody else. You're not gonna mix him up with anybody else. I'll tell you that right now. You definitely can tell. He's got a track with NBA YoungBoy, Free 40. All you NBA young boys listening right now, there's a track right there. If you didn't know anything about Skrilla, you probably already know about Skrilla if you know about NBA YoungBoy. But Skrilla and Lil Yachty, his top song is number 11, Rich Sinners. That's the top song on his Apple Music right now, and I think Spotify as well. No pun intended, but that was a hell of a cover. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that cover was crazy. I mean, the art on that, the cover art was was very, very unique and well drawn out. Yeah, I mean, he's a drill rapper. A lot of people, don't really like to get into the whole drill rap, and each his own. Like I said, younger fan base and everything like that. He does have a unique sound though. He's from the Philly area, so a lot of that gritty Philly type of stuff. Soul snatching, track number 22. I think that's another popular one for his fan base as well. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I gotta go back to that cover art that had me too. That was definitely that's a dope cover though. I can't be bad at it. Man, that cover is really nice. But yeah, Skrilla, another artist that made the cover of Double XL for this year. Like I said, catering to all fan bases. And like I said, if you from the Northeast area, pretty much know of him. Like I said, you probably know of him now from dealing with NBA YoungBoy, who's got a crazy, crazy streaming fan base. NBA YoungBoy, one of the top streaming artists. So getting a YoungBoy appearance on his album, I'm pretty sure did his numbers pretty well. Next artist up. This artist goes by the name of Slayer. I think Slayer is probably up there in the top. Yeah, he's up there in the top. Well, not the top all the way at the top, but right below there, right next to the young lady on the left. But Slayer is my comp. Oh, my comp for Skrilla is like almost like a little Dirk, almost like, you know what I mean. Slayer, he's more my comp for Don Toliver. He does more of her. No, not Don Toliver. Playboy Cardi. He's definitely a Playboy Cardi because he does this rock style type of rap. You know what I mean? Like a lot of Playboy Cardi kind of raps over heavy metal beats and does the harmonic rap as well. He kind of sings his raps hard hard metal, or really, really big on the sound. Like the sound actually sounds out pretty good. Like track number 5, Toxic. I heard that one earlier. Brain Fog, these are all like rock style type of beats. And he kind of puts me in a mind frame of a Playboy Cardi. So if you're a Playboy Cardi fan, and Playboy Cardi had one of the best albums last year and one of the most popular albums last year. I'm not a big Playboy Cardi fan in large doses, but yeah, objectively his production was top tier. And like I said, they kind of eccentric with their delivery. They got the eccentric rap. That's kind of what it is. That eccentric melodic rap. Rax has a crazy beat to it as well. Like I said, if you're into that type of stuff, Sloppy Joe is a crazy sounding track as well. But I mean, there's a fan base for it. And yeah, Slayer definitely puts me in a mindset of like I said, Playboy Cardi. Definitely probably the most accurate description. His album Half Blood came out this year. Crazy, unique album cover as well. I think everybody's doing their thing with the cover arts for this year. But yeah, Slayer definitely gives me the vibe that he is like another Playboy Cardi type. Um, Unique music though, man. I mean, it's unique. I'm not going to say I listen to it like religiously, but at the same time, I can't knock it, man. Especially if there's a fan base that definitely caters to it, made the cover with it. There's a lot of hip hop artists out here. One of the things we always say is how everybody wants to be a rapper. So getting to this point means enough people like your stuff to where you made this cover, and trying them out, man. I mean, some of these artists have something that really surprised me. Though I was actually impressed. This artist is up right now. Soso Kamo, very interesting name. Soso Kamo had his album that just came out this year, Big Country. He's another melodic rapper. Now he reminds me of Don Toliver. Travis Scott, Don Toliver type production. Me and You with Sofago kind of puts me in that mindset. Let It Pour, Pistol. Listening to these tracks right here, definitely felt like I was listening to something along the lines of Don Toliver. Like I said, unique in his own way. Unique in his own way. Rich for Poor, say that. Yeah, it's all unique in his own way, but at the same time, like you kind of have a certain lane that you want to put an artist in, and his comp right there, I would say, would be more or less a Travis Scott, Don Toliver. You check them out for yourself and let me know who these artists remind you of. But yeah, I mean, So Camo, like I said, on the double XL cover. Congratulations to him. Like I said, your music is obviously reaching enough people to where you made it to this level. And salute to him. And this one right here, and this one right here, I definitely caught on to before the double XL cover. Trap Dickie, Kendrick Lamar's artist, TDE, from Hartville, South Carolina. That straight, you know, down south dope boy magic type music, man. You know what I'm saying? Stuff I like right there. Up tempo beat. You know what I'm saying? Something for the club, something for the car. Yeah, yeah. Definitely like Trap Dickie, man. Especially this new project that just came out, The Bill. Look at this track right here. Y'all listen to Down South with Key Glock right there. Key Glock had an appearance on there. No Love got the 5 Heart sample. I got Nothing But Love for You sample mixed up nicely on there with Big X the Plug as a appearance. Had some great appearances on this one. K Camp on Keep Going. Blue Devils, the baby went crazy on the remix. His verse was nice. And then on this one right here, OJ the Juice Man came out and he stepped out, came outside and made an appearance on Getting Money. You gotta listen to that one. Trap Dickie and OJ the Juice Man. That went viral too because OJ the Juice Man made an appearance, man. He came back out. You know what I'm saying? Trap Dickie got OJ the Juice Man out here, man. So yeah, salute to him. He's been putting in work for a while, about 2022 so much, and got on with Kendrick Lamar and showing him the light. Like he's taking the baton and going with it. So yeah, salute to Trap Dickie making that cover. You know what I'm saying? I liked him and it, like hearing him out there, man. Um, Finishing it up with the ladies. This young lady right here is all over the place, and she goes by the name of Trim. Her single "Coconut Water." Probably heard it all over TikTok. Probably heard it all over the internet. I know I heard it all over the place. Yeah, coconut water. You probably heard your kids saying it or something like that. I got teenagers saying it, everything, man. So yeah, salute to her. That song is everywhere. Haven't heard some other singles from her as well. I mean, there's a couple other singles scattered here and there, but not a complete project being released just yet. But that coconut water has got her on the cover of Double XL. Deep mix of female artists is out here right now. There is a very deep mix of artists out here right now, and you know they're making a mark, and they're not slowing down neither. So I mean, salute to the ladies. Salute to the ladies doing their thing on a very deep market. And the last one, Wanice. Um, Probably heard her appearance on the Pop That Thing official remix on the Babies album with Young Miami, Glorilla. You see Wanice right there. And then you also might have heard her appearance on last year's hit record on Metro Boomin's album, Futuristic Summer. She was appearing on that track, Take Me Through There. Um, she had an infamous, like I said, if you was online, you probably heard that. Unless you're living under a rock or not online at all, you probably heard that song. You hear her saying, Take Me Through There. So, that's her. She's making her mark. Appearances all over the place. So, the two ladies in the double XL freshman cover, 10 male artists. You got some Don Toliver type of sounds. You got some a little bit of JID type of sound, or maybe even J. Cole-ish, dare I say, with Chris Patrick. Like I said, got Trap Dickie keeping the Southern Dope Boy sound going. Miles Minnick bringing the Christian artists up out there. Hurricane Wisdom, that South, that North Florida style with that, like that Kodak NBA YoungBoy, almost kind of like near the Bayou type of sound too. Belly Gang Cushington keeping it going for the Southern, you know what I'm saying? Him and Trap Dickie and everything like that too. L.A. Reezy bringing a unique sound out of Louisiana, out of New Orleans. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, whether you agree or not, the future like might be in good hands. I mean, like I said, last couple of double XL covers out there, everybody said this and that, and those artists, a lot of those artists are still here. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people who wasn't that big on them actually became sold on them after a while. But yeah, like I said, I'll be back next week with more double XL covers, like the past and present double XL covers, and we can go through those and see which one was the best, which artists um, defied the odds, which artists lived up to the expectations, which artists, quite didn't quite live up to the odds. It'd be an interesting topic to have, and I'll have that on tap for y'all next week too. So y'all stay tapped in, man. Check out these artists I'll put out there. Let me know how y'all feel about them in the comments. Let me know how you feel in the chat. Um, check them out if you haven't heard of them. I'm pretty sure a lot of you haven't heard of majority of them. I went through and cycled through them. I found some that I like. Like I said, maybe some I'll go through every day. Some I'll go through here and there. I have a couple playlists made from them, maybe even. And then who else? Who knows what they'll continue to put out? This is a freshman cover, so this is just the start for them. Big X the Plug made a big splash as a freshman too. So, you know, now that they're on the cover, this might be the baton they need to keep it going. That fire they need to light a fire under some of these artists to get the flame going and just keep it going and get better too. So, I mean, they're pretty good. I mean, some potential out here. I'll say that. It's definitely some potential. Definitely. Don't write them off. But yeah, that's my time for the evening, everybody. Hope everyone had a great evening. Hope everyone had a great chat. Thank you all for jumping on. You can find me on Instagram at This Is Left Fresh. You can find me on TikTok at This Is Left Fresh. You find me back on Wednesday discussing sports. Got some more NBA talk. Hopefully, some more trades or more, reagent signings. NFL probably got some more news brewing around the league. Got some more sidebar discussions as well. A lot of narrative discussion we got to get into. But yeah, I'll be back next Saturday as well, 10 p.m. Like I said, double XL covers and many other topics and other releases and anniversaries as well. So y'all stay tapped in. Appreciate your time for the night. This is the Left Fresh Podcast signing out. Y'all have a great weekend. Peace.